6 secrets men hide from you. In this video, I'm going to tell you the truth about what your man wants and needs from you, but won't necessarily tell you. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. Guys aren't intentionally hiding things from you. A lot of the times, he just doesn't have the language to express these emotional needs. Or he doesn't want to because of societal conditioning that makes him feel like he needs to be manly and makes him feel like talking about his emotional needs is a sign of weakness. But knowing these secrets is what's going to help you form a strong emotional connection with him. This is what's going to get him to see you as a woman who is a cut above the rest, as a woman who he can really be himself around and can really share himself with. It really comes down to understanding male psychology and what drives a man. And I am going to break it all down for you and explain everything. So make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more relationship content. Be sure to subscribe to the A New Mode newsletter. You can find it at anewmode.com/subscribe, and the link is also down below. That is where me and my partner Eric share our best content. You will get it delivered straight to your inbox every day. And also be sure to follow me on Instagram at A New Mode so we can be friends on there. Number 1, men love the chase, sort of. Emphasis on the sort of. The chase is a very confusing concept, and I think it's really important to break down what it really means and to discuss whether men actually love the chase and what that really means. Okay, so I used to be a classic case of the chase gone wrong. I was great at reeling the guys in. I was great at getting the guy. I was great at flirting. I was great at rousing his interest. I was great at remaining just out of reach. But the thing with the chase is eventually you have to be caught. So I was good at getting the guy, not so good at keeping him. As soon as things deepened a little bit, I would just drop that facade like a heavy winter coat with one big thunk onto the ground. And what was underneath was an emotionally sloppy, insecure, needy girl who desperately wanted to be loved. And this was a major man repeller, not surprisingly. So one by one, these guys who I lured in so effortlessly would ghost me or do the gentlemanly thing and actually dump me to my face. And I never understood why. What was I doing wrong? The problem is the chase creates the illusion of confidence, and men love a confident, high-value woman. But if this isn't who you truly are, then eventually he's going to see that. If you pretend to be something else in order to get the guy, but you are not that way, then things aren't going to work out. So great, you got the guy, but what's the point if nothing sticks? Your real self is always going to shine through in the end. And then what? The thing with the chase is, it seems like men love the chase. It seems like you need to make him chase you in order to get the guy, but that never works out in the end because the chase isn't real. It's just built on an illusion. Men do enjoy the pursuit, and men kind of need to pursue a woman in order to come to really care about her, in order to come to really invest in her. Men are competitive and goal-oriented by nature, and the pursuit feeds into those innate drives. Men want a high-quality woman who chooses him because of how amazing he is, not a desperate woman who chooses him because he's a guy that's showing her a little attention and that feels really good to her. There is a huge difference between the two. He wants to feel like he won you, like he earned you, not that you were just freely given over to him because you're desperate and you just want a guy. He doesn't want to feel like you need him in order to feel okay. What men want is a woman of high value, not a woman who has to play games in order to get a guy because her real self isn't good enough or because she doesn't think her real self is good enough. So that is the truth about the chase. Men want to pursue you, or rather, men need that space to pursue you in order to come to really care for you in a significant way. Men don't necessarily love the chase. So the solution here is to really work on becoming that high-value woman, not a woman who has to play games in order to trick a guy into wanting to be with her. Number 2, men also have emotional needs. Despite what the media tells you, men need more than beer and sex in order to feel emotionally fulfilled in a relationship. Men also have emotional needs. They're just not always the best at expressing what those needs are. Men enter the world of emotional disclosure much later in life. Think about sleepovers when you were a little girl with your friends. You would talk about your hopes and dreams and the guys that you had a crush on and your feelings. Men didn't do that at their sleepovers. They just played video games and made fun of each other and played sports and beat each other up. Men don't enter the realm of emotional disclosure until later in life, until they start forming relationships with women. And by then, they're years behind. A lot of the time, men don't have the language to express how they're feeling, or they just feel uncomfortable doing so because they've been told not to their whole lives, and because there is such a stigma about a man expressing his emotions and his emotional needs. So because of that, he might be ashamed to talk about it. That doesn't mean that those needs aren't there. A man's strongest need is the need for appreciation. This trumps everything else. And he's not gonna come right out and tell you that. He's not gonna come right out and say, I need you to appreciate me. Instead, if he doesn't feel appreciated, you'll notice that he starts to withdraw. You'll notice that he starts to pull away. You'll notice that he starts to do less for you, and you might not understand why. Most likely it is due to a lack of appreciation. It's due to feeling like you don't appreciate him for what he does and for who he is. And men need that in a relationship. I can't emphasize this enough. This is the number one, probably even not only the number one, probably like the only thing a man needs in a relationship. It's appreciation and maybe physical gratification. That's about it. Connecting with a man at his emotional core is really taking the time to discover who he is and appreciating that person, and creating a safe space for him to be his authentic self and to talk to you honestly without fear that you're gonna misinterpret things, or that you're gonna judge him, or that you're gonna lash out at him. But the thing with appreciation is it can't be faked. If you are showing appreciation to him just because you want him to do more for you, or just because you want him to do things to make you feel good about yourself, then it's not gonna work. It has to come from a genuine place. And this is why it is so important to be emotionally healthy before you enter into a relationship. And if you watch my videos and read my content on A New Mode, you'll know all about this because I talk about it a lot, because it's crucial. Number 3, he wants your support. This again is another thing that a man isn't gonna come right out and tell you, but it's one of those things where when you do it and when you satisfy that need, he will feel so close and so connected to you. One of the greatest feelings to a man in a relationship is that feeling of having a woman in his corner, a woman who will support him no matter what, a woman who really believes in him and sees him as the great man that he could be, a woman who really sees his potential and who inspires him to want to reach that potential. But there's also a comfort in knowing that you'll be there for him even if he fails, especially since failure is probably the hardest thing for men to deal with. When you genuinely support him and appreciate him, he feels on top of the world. He feels like he can do anything. And this is the most amazing feeling to a man. And he's gonna associate you with that feeling and gonna want more of you in his life. This is what really inspires a man to commit. This is what inspires a man to see a woman as the one. Guys are starving for your approval. Women don't realize how much power we really have over men. This is the part that no one talks about. And how do I know all this? Because I have interviewed countless men. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've interviewed men for my books, for the website. All of this comes from the brains and the mouths of men. But these are things that men don't readily admit because they feel uncomfortable. They feel awkward admitting these things to a woman that they care about. He doesn't want to be seen as weak. When you are proud of him, it is a huge driving force. At the same time, when you're disappointed in him, or when you make him feel like he's failing you, or he's failing to make you happy, that is crippling to a man. That makes him feel like a worthless loser. And men will do anything to avoid that feeling. Number 4, men move towards what feels good. This is something else I talk about a lot on A New Mode, and it's pretty groundbreaking. Ready? Okay, men move towards what feels good. If it feels good to be around you, he will want to be around you. Men also move away from what feels bad. Men are uncomfortable navigating the realm of difficult emotions. That is why guys will often ghost instead of having that uncomfortable breakup conversation. That's why guys will often shut down when things get emotionally intense. That's when you'll see him pull away or withdraw. I know that it's not maybe the most mature thing, and a guy who does work on himself and develop himself and really get to a place of emotional maturity will be better at handling that. But in general, it's not his nature to be comfortable in that realm, not in the same way that most women are. If a man had his choice, the only emotions he would ever feel are calm and content. Commitment isn't usually the goal for men, not the same way that it is for women. That's also why I tell you guys a lot not to have an agenda when you're dating, because that's how men date. They date around, they date without an agenda. They're not necessarily seeking a commitment, and he doesn't even realize he's deeply committing because he doesn't have that agenda. But then all of a sudden he's with someone and it feels really good to be around her, and he wants more and more of that feeling. And without even realizing it, he is completely invested in her and committed to her. It happens without force. It kind of happens naturally for him. He just realizes his life is better with her than it was without her. And he just becomes really drawn to her and just wants more of her. So that's how commitment works for a man. So essentially, in order to create that, it's important to manage your mood, manage your vibe, so that it feels really good to be around you. There is this idea that men are commitment phobes or anti-relationship, but this isn't true. Men aren't afraid of relationships. They are afraid of being stuck in bad relationships, because every guy has that one friend who can't go out without calling his girlfriend every 5 minutes to check in, otherwise she's gonna completely freak out and fly off the handle. That's what guys don't want. It's not that men are anti-commitment. Men are terrified of the emotional messiness that can sometimes come with getting involved in the wrong relationship. So that's why guys are sometimes a little bit more cautious with who they commit to. Now, when I say make it feel good to be around you, I'm not saying be an emotional robot. I'm not saying you're not allowed to never have a bad day. Of course, we all have bad moods and we all have bad days. And you don't need to plaster a smile on your face and just pretend like everything is sunshine and roses all the time. The important thing to realize is there is a way to confide in your partner without turning him into your emotional dumping ground. When you're having problems, don't make him into the problem as well. And a lot of women do that because when we are overwhelmed with negative emotions, we just see everything as being covered with a dark cloud and it's hard to see things clearly. So you had a bad day and your boss was being a jerk and you got into a fight with your friend, and then you come home and your boyfriend made one little comment and now he's also the problem, and now everything is just making you angry and the whole world is against you and everything is just wrong and terrible in your life. It's really important to just manage those negative emotions. And when you're in that place, talk to him from a more calm and healthy and stable place. Sometimes that's not always realistic, but the fact is, if you really want to connect with a man, if you really want his support and his understanding, it's important to watch the way that you say things, because men are very sensitive to your disapproval. And if you're coming at him acting like he's also the problem, he's just gonna shut down and he's not gonna give you that support that you're looking for. It's not so much about what you say, it's the way you say it that makes all the difference in a relationship. Essentially, when you lean on a man because you're having a hard time, that feels good to him. When you lash out at him because your life is a mess and you're so angry about it, that doesn't feel good to him. So that's the difference. Number 5, men need to feel like winners. This was probably the biggest, most life-changing revelation for me in my 10 years writing about men and writing about relationships. I never really understood this driving force for a man to feel like a winner. And most women don't, because men don't talk about it. So how would we know about it? Most men need to feel like they are winning at life. It doesn't necessarily mean he's killing it at his job. It doesn't mean that he has all the money that he wants to have. But he needs to feel like he is moving in a direction that fulfills his mission, his purpose, that takes him where it is that he wants to go in life. He needs to feel like he's having a positive impact on the world, like his efforts are meaningful. It could be winning at his job, it could be winning at making you happy. The point is, men have a strong aversion to feeling insignificant. He needs to feel significant in this world. He needs to feel like he's having an impact. Every man has a mission in life, and what determines a man's overall happiness and satisfaction with his life is whether or not he's pursuing that mission. A man can be out of work, but he can still be perfectly content as long as he's working towards something that's meaningful to him. Or a man can be fully employed and totally miserable because he feels like his job is a dead end and makes him miserable. So it's not about what he's doing. It's about whether or not he feels like he's moving in a direction that's meaningful in his life. And men truly want to make the woman that they're with happy. This is also part of his need to feel like a winner. So it's really important to set him up for success. And sometimes that's annoying because you wish that he would just know without you having to tell him. Like, I don't like it that I needed to remind my husband like 5 times that Mother's Day was coming up, and like that I would like for him to, write me a nice card and do something with the kids to make me feel good. But you know what? If I hadn't have done that and he, didn't do those things for Mother's Day, I would have been setting him up to fail and setting myself up to be disappointed and setting up a big fight. So you have to set him up to win. If you want something, that's okay to tell him. Don't expect him to read your mind. He needs to feel like a winner, and your job is to help him win wherever you can. So set him up for success. Don't test him to see whether or not he can read your mind and do the things that you want him to do and then get angry at him when he doesn't do things exactly how you wanted him to. Number 6, he really isn't trying to hurt you. If you want to have success in your dating life, you have to eliminate this idea in your head that all men are jerks and they are just out to get you and out to hurt you. because this isn't true. There are very few all-out bad guys out there, and usually we can spot them from a mile away, but sometimes we pursue it anyway, despite our better judgment, maybe because we get caught up in this idea of saving the bad boy, of being the one to love him back to life and to heal him. But our guts know. We know when a guy is genuinely a bad guy. We know when he's bad news. We know when we're probably going to get our heart broken. Most men aren't intentionally trying to hurt you. In fact, they're terrified of it because, like I mentioned earlier, men are really afraid of emotionally intense situations. And it is this very aversion to hurting you that causes him to behave in ways that actually are very hurtful, like ghosting or fading away or withdrawing or, sending mixed signals. Because he'd rather do all that instead of say to your face, I'm not into you, or this relationship is a little problematic for these reasons. So he avoids it. Men don't like to feel like the bad guy. That's not a very winner type of feeling. So he convinces himself that you're on the same page as him, and there's no point in having this conversation and rehashing things and, getting all emotional about it. And I actually have another video about why men ghost that talks a lot more about this, so definitely check that out if you want to know more. I'm not saying that it's right, I'm just telling you what is. Men also have flaws and insecurities and fears. Like all of us do, we're all human, so sometimes they behave in ways that are responses to these insecurities and these fears, and maybe that comes across as hurtful. But the takeaway here is that he's not intentionally trying to hurt you. So what did you think about these secrets? Did any of them shock you? Were any of them surprising to you? Did you already know about them? Did I miss any secrets? Please share all your thoughts in the comment section. I read them all. Also, ask away if you have any questions, if you have any feedback. I read everything. I try to respond to everyone. For more relationship advice, check out anewmode.com. Make sure to subscribe to our amazing newsletter, anewmode.com/subscribe. Follow me on Instagram @anewmode, and I will see you guys in the next video.